This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Hello, this is the Barak Lurie Moment, brought to you again by the Glazov Gang. As you'll recall from my previous Barak Lurie Moment, we talked about my recent book, Atheism Kills. We talked about how it was so destructive to all of human civilization. We talked about how it not only killed hundreds of millions of people in the 20th century alone, but that it continues to do so. We also talked about how it destroyed civilizational aspects itself, such as truth and our sense of justice, our sense of creativity and purpose. These are destructive things. Today, we're going to be talking about atheism's tortured past when it comes to abortion and eugenics and the one-child policy of China. Look, one of the things that we think about when we think about abortion is we think it's somehow a new thing. In reality, abortion has been around and available for thousands of years. However, in the way we think of abortion today, with its mechanized clinics and its mill-type atmosphere, that really started, when you ask, during the Bolshevik Revolution of 1914. This is the time that abortion, as we think of it, really started. Who initiated this? Why the Bolshevik Revolution, you may ask? Vladimir Lenin wanted to make sure to destroy the family. He thought of no better way of doing that than allowing abortion on demand up to the date of birth. He also thought it would be a great thing to force women into the workplace, because if they weren't pregnant, well then you have to be able to go to work then. That was his modus operandi. And it worked so well, so devastatingly well, that it became part of the culture of not only the Soviet Union, but all the Eastern Bloc countries. Today, in Russia and the Czech Republic and many other former Eastern Bloc countries, the average abortion number of any particular woman today is 6 or 7. That's right, you heard it. 6 or 7 abortions on average for every woman in the Czech Republic, Russia, Ukraine, you name it. It fed into the culture. Now, how could this happen? How does this relate to atheism? I put it to you that a culture that doesn't see life as important, doesn't see that God is in control of everything, will begin to believe that no life matters at all. All that matters is what you can provide to the common good. That is a central distinction between the way we in America view abortion on the one hand, and other countries like us, Israel and Australia, perhaps Canada, and other countries that view abortion as an issue of the common good. So the common good can mean anything, right? So if you want to increase your population, well then you restrict abortion. That's what happened in Romania, where Ceausescu refused to allow any abortions, and for that matter, any contraception. That's what the common good meant there. But when the common good is to say, well, we want to restrict our population, well, then you get the one-child policy in China. And then abortion on demand, and not only that, but abortion forced upon you by the government is also the order of the day. And that's what we saw with the one-child policy as well. What do Russia and the former Soviet Union and China have in common? That's right, you guessed it, godlessness. These are countries that care not whatsoever about God, that believe that man is paramount, that it's important to work for the state and do all things that are necessary for the state. And so as a consequence, these horrific things happened. Now, who fought the one-child policy tooth and nail? Wait for it. You guessed it. The observant Christians and the observant Jews. They're the ones who fought as hard as they could. And they succeeded in showing and the exposure of the horrific tortures and evils of the one-child policy. It is beginning to wane now. It's not quite completely done yet, but thank God things are happening and changing in China as well. Now, this is just but one aspect of atheism, of course, but it's the godlessness that moved Vladimir Lenin to do what he did when it came to abortion. Likewise, people forget about something called eugenics. Eugenics was this concept that it's okay for the government to force people to be sterilized on the grounds that, well, some people should not continue to propagate this species. So people who are mentally feeble, people who are otherwise undesirable, were somehow forced to be sterilized. And that was okay with the progressive movement. They felt that this was a very important movement toward the betterment of humankind. Who fought this? Wait for it. Again, the observant Christians and the observant Jews. They fought eugenics at a time where eugenics was the order of the day. It was considered progressive and advanced and modern, and you were silly if you didn't agree with them. But the Christians and the Jews, they didn't care. They pushed against it as hard as they could, and they won. Now we look back with great shame toward what happened with the eugenics. You barely hear about that in the history books today. And why? Because it only brings a mirror to the very godless nature and culture that we once believed in. It is a great shame upon our society. We talk about slavery, we talk about Jim Crow, but we very rarely talk about the horrors of eugenics that happened in this country, and which Hitler himself borrowed for his own purposes in the horrible things called the Holocaust. Make sure to get my book, Atheism Kills, right now on Amazon. I think you'll enjoy this book tremendously. It has this story and so much more about the way that atheism kills. Please also support the Glazov Gang at jamieglazov.com and make sure you subscribe to the Glazov Gang YouTube channel. Thank you.